What's going on, folks? It's Stock Picks by Tim, and I'm going to get into a couple of stocks and also just touch on Bitcoin real quick. As you can see from the chart, we are trying to push this previous high. This is our local top, and if we can break this, we're off to the races. Once we break that, which I do expect that we're going to break it, I think we're going to come down. We're going to come down, let that RSI level off, get more neutral, and then we're going to push higher. So I don't think it's going to happen right this second, but I do think we're going to break this previous top. And once we break this one, we're going to be trying for about 42.5. Once we break that 42.5, off to the races. But I do think we're going to find some resistance around here. Hopefully we can develop a support right around 41.5 or so and hold that as a support. We are holding 40 nicely, as you can see right around here. And, before that was our resistance. We were definitely finding resistance at 40. We did break it here, but we couldn't hold that 40. We kept breaking down, found it as a resistance a few times. But now that we've broken, now that we're holding 40 as a resistance, I think we're going to push higher. And what I think is by Bitcoin pushing higher, overall altcoins will also push higher. We're talking DOT, we're talking VGX, we're talking Crow. I think a lot of these are going to do great. And they're already starting to show some good signs of rebounding. But that was just a quick brush over crypto, over Bitcoin specifically. Keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on that local top and make sure we can break it. If we can, we're going to push higher. Now, looking at Evgo, I actually don't have this one. I am currently in Volta and Chargepoint, as many of you know. But just be aware that their earnings is coming up soon. I'm going to wait, see how earnings goes, and then I might potentially get into a position, maybe even play a cash secured put or something like that. But as of recently, it is good to see we are on a nice little uptrend. I mean, this is the case for just about all small caps, but looking at it, we're on a nice ascending channel. We are on a nice solid ascending channel. I guess you could kind of bend this one up a little more, like something like that. I guess you could call it an ascending wedge. We're like some kind of ascending wedge essentially, but I'm waiting mainly for earnings because there's obviously the possibility that this drops on earnings, and I'm not going to take that risk. I'm not going to buy now. I'd rather buy later, even if it means buying a little bit higher. Now, for me, I do prefer Volta and ChargePoint over Evgo, but when you're looking at current prices, I would probably lean more towards Evgo and Volta. ChargePoint has run up quite a bit, so just be aware of that. And we're also going to look at those really quick. But mark down that date on your calendar, March 23rd. We want to see that revenue increase. I'm not too impressed with this revenue when you're looking at the market cap compared to Volta, and that is one reason I don't have this. I prefer Volta. But Evgo does have some great deals with the likes of Toyota and I believe Subaru as well. All right, now Volta. We've also got earnings coming up on Volta. I do have a position in this, and I will be giving you guys a edited, cut up version of the conference call when they release their earnings. So make sure you like and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for that. And now looking at Volta as of late, we are also in an uptrend, as is, the typical trend going on lately with smaller caps. So that is a market thing. It's not just Volta necessarily, but it is nice to see Volta now breaking this previous resistance here. I'm hoping that we can hold around here, around like this 450 level. We can maybe hold this. Possibly, you could see, I'd say this could be a potential area for support right around like 470 if we can hold our resistance as support, or just this range, this 450 to 470. I want to see this hold before we move higher, okay? But looking at the RSI, we are relatively near overbought. We hit it and then we came back, but keep an eye on it. I think we need to pull down a little bit before we go farther. I think we need to develop some supports first. I want to see this develop some supports, otherwise it's just going to spike up and spike back down if we have no levels of support to go off of. But that's my thoughts on Volta. I am adding this one in preference to ChargePoint just because ChargePoint has run up a lot. ChargePoint, you're talking about like, I'd say close to a 50% run. With ChargePoint, you're looking at like a 60% run just about. And with Volta, we were at 360. We're now at almost 5. You're like about a 50% run. But I think ChargePoint has outperformed Volta in terms of stock price recently, so I do like Volta a little bit more. I think it's a little more beaten down still, and I see more opportunity with Volta right now. And as you can see with ChargePoint, we're just on a complete run. We're clearing up to 18. We do have a top here like 1850, and we're going to test it again. We might not hit that previous high, so that looks a little bearish if we can't break this. But just keep an eye on ChargePoint. I do love this one for the long term, and like I've said before, I'm not trimming any profits until at least 20. I need to see at least 20 before even thinking about trimming profits. I was a big believer in this one in the low teens, and even, I was preaching buy it under 20. I think long term it's worth it under 20. Now, if you're short term on this, I would probably wait for a pullback personally. I want to see this come back a little bit. Maybe we retest this like 1750. This could be our new support here. A previous resistance that we broke out of might become our new support. So I would personally want to see this pull back a bit. Depends on what the overall market's doing. Yes, things have been turning around, and over the last 3 days, we've seen a run. As of this upload, 3 days in a row, a great just run of green days, you know, and everyone probably expected one good green day and then we're just going to take it all back. Everyone's very pessimistic in the market right now. But no, just be aware that I think we are due to pull back a little bit. So we will probably pull back, in my opinion, and just retest some levels before going higher. Everything's just shooting to the moon, and I think it's going a little too fast. I mean, we're up like, what, 20-30% in just 3 days. But hey, that's the market for you, you know? You get some huge drops and then you get some huge gains. It's all about just knowing when that fear, you know, knowing when to pull the trigger and start buying into that fear, you know? All right, now I want to get into Astra. This one actually lagged behind. They had their successful orbit, and on that day, it only had like a 3% run. Now we are on a nice tear. Now this is outperforming other stocks in terms of the last few days. So I'm going to go over Astra real quick, and then we're going to go over a stock that I think is worthy of a short. Now, first off, looking at Astra, we're sitting right around 450. I want to see, just like with Volta, that 450 level, I want to see this hold it as a support. We really don't have any real supports or resistances to go off of. We did break this like 430. We might try to test that as a support, but I think we need to develop some new supports. So I'm not going to just give you any numbers here. I think this is going to pull back at some point, find some support, maybe even at that $4 level. Possible. But we do need to develop some like clear supports. You know, if you look at this, there's really not much that I see. I mean, this has been on a huge downtrend. I personally don't expect this to test, though, that $3 level. I don't think we're going to come down here. I really don't. But anything's possible, of course. Now, one thing to think about is Astra now has 2 successful launches under their belt. And, you know, the stock price is still considerably beaten down from before they even had one successful launch. You could argue that before the successful launch, it was just extremely overvalued and it doesn't even deserve that price now. But it's something to think about that, you know, this was trading in the teens, the low teens, and this was before a successful launch. This does kind of go into the wise proverb of buy the rumor, sell the news. You know, it's all the hype building up. If there's an event moving forwards, people know, day traders know there's going to be hype. They're going to push this price up. And then once that news passes, typically there's a sell-off. Not always the case, but more often than not, I've noticed that this is the case. Now, when something's so beaten down, like Astra, for example, and, you know, that positive news isn't priced in. It's just all pessimism, and then they finally have that good launch, and we go on a nice run. So I think a lot of people were not watching this one. They had the successful launch. It only went up 3%, like I said, and this was on a day that a lot of stocks went up 5-10%, and Astra underperformed, despite them having a successful launch. So I'm pretty confident in Astra at this price. And if you were to get in at the $9-10 level before they even had a successful launch, why not get in now when it's $4 or $5 level? That's just one thing to think about. Now, looking at the RSI MACD, we're looking a little overbought. I think the MACD is due to curl around, and I think the RSI is going to come down from overbought. But keep an eye on Astra. I'm very confident in this under $5. And, you know, to me, I feel like it's criminally undervalued in terms of what their future potential is. But it's just a matter of if they can follow through and eventually get to the daily launches, weekly and then daily launches. But that's just something to look out for. Keep an eye on Astra. This is my one space stock that I'm in. I'm not in SPCE or Rocket Labs. I think this one at its market cap just has a lot more room to run. All right, now as for a potential short, Cleveland Cliffs. I have gotten out of this one into strength. I rode this nice little run up, got out. You guys may know I was talking about this right around here, like that $16-17 level. I said it was a buy. I did sell a little early, I'll admit. I sold at like $20 to $21. This has run up to almost $27. I think that's crazy. And when you look at it in short term, we weren't quite able to break this high. I mean, I guess you could say we kind of topped out at this high. And now we're kind of coming down. I think wait for this one, see if we retest, if we get close and then start pulling back. I think it's great for a quick short, in and out quick. You don't want to hold this too long, you know. And one thing to think about is while everything else was just failing miserably, everything else was dropping, small caps were doing horrible, this was like, you know, under the radar, starting to run. But at its current price, I do feel like it's due to pull back a bit, retest some levels, maybe retest this $24 area. I think this went on a quick run and a little too far too fast. And to me, you know, we want to see if this does break this previous high, I wouldn't short it. I want to see if it can break out from this previous high, this local top, or not. If it doesn't break out from this top, I would go with a short. But you want to see it try to push and then fail. If you see it push and fail, maybe break this 26.75, then go with a short. Easy money in my opinion. In and out, quick, in and out. Don't take your time on this one. Don't wait for it to come back to 20. You know, that's too far. That's too risky. Look for maybe 24 or something, 25 something. You know, you don't want to go too crazy on this. And also another thing to think about, if you're too bullish on everything, if all of your stocks, all of your positions are all bullish, it doesn't hurt to have some bearish positions as well to hedge against your, bets. You could always just go short the market, but I would rather go with something that to me has gone up too far too fast. And to me, Cleveland Cliffs is one of those. But that's basically it for you guys. Just a little hodgepodge of a couple things going on. Bitcoin trying to break out from its local top, potential short here, and some small caps just going on absolute runs. But let me know in the comments below what you guys are watching lately, and stay tuned. I will likely be putting a video out tonight of a couple more stocks to watch, a couple stocks to get into, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, and see you later.